with that kind of being said, let's turn it over to Texas and Oklahoma. And, they're going to be jumping ship next year to the SEC. We talked about this earlier. I don't know what I was looking at, but I actually, me and my stats.
Oh, I do.
So Texas and Oklahoma reportedly are going to receive they're receiving 34 million from the Big 12 over the last year is what they did. They're going to jump up to over 60 million when they move to the SEC. So
wow.
that's huge. I mean, that's big numbers there. Like I said, I think for me, that kind of money is going to be pretty prominent to it. Another thing I like about this is depending on how all this shakes out, they're going to have to shuffle this up. I don't see how Texas and Oklahoma, I don't know, are they going to split them off? Does it make more sense to maybe move, like one of the other teams around a little bit? Like, does Alabama get thrown over to, or does Alabama, and Auburn, do they get pushed over to the SEC East? Like, there's so many things that play into this that can have so many ramifications. But I am glad we're going to start to see some of these rivalry games that we used to see, the Missouri and Texas game, the Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Texas A&M. Those games are going to come back, I think. And I think that'll be a little more interesting for sure. I also wonder, with them moving, are they going to change? And this is not something that's been announced yet. You know how everybody does their big rivalry towards the very end of the season. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma, they play normally somewhat in the middle of it.
They do.
Right?
They've always had that, like actually, it's pretty early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 5 or 6, week 5 or 6 or somewhere in there.
Yeah. So like I'm just wondering, do they potentially look at moving that back a little bit if they're changing conferences? I mean, I don't know. I mean, there could be a little more at stake if they did that. I mean, I think that would be, imagine a world where 3 years from now, Arch Manning is quarterbacking Texas, and Oklahoma and Texas are the big swinging guys out there, the big swinging dicks out there in the SEC, and they're going at it, for a chance to play in the, the SEC championship game. So I don't know. I think for me, that's kind of an interesting thing that we'll see a little bit here. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
No, and like I said, I love disagreeing with you, but I can't on this topic. I honestly think that's a good thing for, like, if you bring up these two teams, right? But what they do with them and how does that affect, like you said, Alabama, Auburn, even A&M and Texas and OU. I mean, that was a thing back in the day. It was like, yeah, it's going to be interesting how they do align this and where they shuffle the teams. I don't know how, they break it up on like an East and West base, you know what I mean? But like OU and Texas are so close to each other. I don't know how they're going to do that, dude. Like, yeah, they're going to have to shuffle some shit around, and it's going to be different, I think, for a lot of people at first, if you truly, love rivalry games and all that. But, God, man, it's good and it's bad. You know what I mean? You touched on the good topics. Bad. I still always will in my heart. It's still funny. Like, I still have to tell myself at times that Nebraska's still in the Big 10, and that's been since 2011. Oh yeah, Texas OU or SEC now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot for me to. I mean, I am slow and as you would say, handicapped, but I mean, it still takes me some time to fucking process that. It's like, holy shit, like it's gonna be different, man. But like I said, it comes down to money. That's probably the most deciding factor in this. And my question to you is, Texas has their own like television shit. They bring that crap over there with them, because that was the reason why. If anybody remembers in 2011 why Nebraska jumped.
Mm-hmm.
It was Texas was going to try to run the Big 12.
Yeah, that Longhorn Network. Yep. Oh yeah,
A&M, Nebraska. I think Colorado eventually jumped out of there. They wanted in the Big 10. They didn't want them. They went to the Pac. A lot of drama over that deal. There was a lot of controversy over Texas trying to basically run that whole fucking thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was getting ready to say, when we were talking about this, to me, and call me crazy, there's something about the SEC games that I watch. I like the CBS network. It's going to be weird to see Texas playing and Oklahoma playing on like a CBS network. Agreed. Going from having Klatt and some of those other guys calling those games to Gary Danielson and some of those guys calling the games. I mean, that to me is just going to be. It's probably not going to, for the first year, it's not going to look or sound right.
No, it's not. It's going to feel weird if you're an SEC guy like yourself, right? Or even me, who's really not. But I watch those games all the time as a fan over here, and it's always Danielson, and I can't think of the other guy off the top of my head, but they always do all the Bama games, all the big LSU games. Yeah, you're going to throw OU in Texas, and you're going to look at that and think it's a bowl game right off the rip, right? Like, I mean, that's just like, well, what the hell is OU playing, Bama for, right? Week 6. So, like, no, it's definitely going to be different, man, and it's going to take some time. It took me time personally just to adjust to Nebraska being in the Big 10, right? Playing Ohio State, playing Michigan State, Wisconsin. Not that they're that far away from us, but just not teams that you normally play, right? We were used to the Kansas, and K-States of the world, Missouri. You pretty much had the schedule dialed in years in advance, kind of knew like, okay, this is kind of how it ends. And it ends with Colorado on Thanksgiving Day, right? That was kind of knew who you were going to play and kind of liked it that way. But like I said, change is what it is. And I think this is the first of many, though. I think there's going to be a lot coming down the pipe here coming up.
Yeah, I think for me growing up, it's Brad Nessler who's the other guy there.
There you go. Yep.
But I mean, you look at it and it's so different. I mean, you look at, having Vern Lundquist call a lot of the games. I remember, they would call the Georgia-Florida game every year.
Right.
That's so awesome. I mean, can we at least agree that I think CBS and the SEC, I like their broadcast. I don't know why. I just like it better than Fox.
Oh, what? No, 100%. 100%. I can agree with that. Yep.
All right, good. We agree on something today. That might be it, though.
Holy shit. Yeah, no, that. Yeah. Well, we got a topic later today we are definitely not going to agree on.